What are some things, because I noticed it in my own dogs and being part of your Facebook support group, which, by the way, for those listening, is called Healing Diet for Dogs and Cats. It's a great support group for the information in the book. Um,
Hmm.
but what are some things that you can expect to notice in your pets when you start feeding properly? Like, one of the things I can think of off the top of my head was an increase in having to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and it's an adjustment for the dog. It's an adjustment for the owner. This is a big topic because it sort of gets into puppies versus adult dogs. If the
Mhm.
house training is already in place, it's no problem. It's just you have to give your dog more opportunities to potty, especially on plant days. When a dog's alone all day, you might have to go to putting them in a confined area until they adjust. I know I tried feeding my puppy when she was growing up. I tried feeding her plant foods when she was very little before the house training was in place. And it was almost like the urge to potty surprised her, and she didn't really know what to do in order to get outside. She wasn't really clear on that she needed to go outside. And she's a Cocker Spaniels, and they're notoriously hard to house train to begin with. So I had to feed her nothing but PMR, Prey Model
Mhm.
Raw, for the first year, and just to make her poops predictable and get the house training in place. And then once she was a year old, we started incorporating plants, and now she's 2.5 and she's 100%. No more accidents at all, and she's adjusted. But it does take some time. It takes some patience. And there's lots of other changes that you'll see too. Some of them positive, most of them, I mean, a lot of them positive, but also some negative, because substances that have been harming your dog are still stored in the body. And when you start feeding properly, it allows the body to go in and get those things out of there and send them out via the normal elimination, the primary channels of elimination, which are the bowels and the bladder. But if the body has been using these secondary avenues, like the skin, like the eyes, like the ears, and spaces between the pads and whatnot, it may continue to use those, and so you will see a continuation of the symptoms for a while. They will get better, and like you've seen in your dog, I believe, cyclically, if you saw allergies, so-called allergies, at certain times of the year, you might see those when that time of year comes back again. But the severity will be less, and it might take several cycles of that process until the dog is no longer has any sensitivity at all to these so-called environmental allergens. The the solution is not to think that you have to keep your dog away from natural substances in the environment, like grass and pollen. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, nor is it to use something that would suppress that process of
Right.
elimination.
Exactly. What you want to do is you want to find out what's causing it. And it's a toxic body. It's just a toxic body.
Mhm.
And but those things, those toxins need to come out. And you've heard this analogy a million times about lemon juice. When these substances contact tissues in the body, um, they create irritation. And it's like any substance that creates this, or that triggers a hypersensitivity in a body. It depends on the toxicity of the body in question. And the analogy that I use is like, if you imagine pouring lemon juice over a healthy tissue, it won't hurt at all. But if you imagine like a cut or an open sore or something, and pouring lemon juice into it, it really hurts. And that's basically the difference between healthy and toxic.
Yeah.
And that's really the fundamental cause of all allergies. And it's 100% scam and fraud to have people doing allergy testing and avoidance and lifelong management and steroid use and monthly injections and all of this profit selling. I mean, product
Yeah.
selling, profit mongering, toxifying
Right.
nonsense. It's
I
so
mean, if
harmful.
there's just one thing to take away from any of this, it's that um, we need to stop fearing symptoms.
Yes,
Symptoms are the cure, and we need to
yes,
stop fearing them and trying to get rid of them because they're actually
yes,
helpful to us
yes,
and to our
absolutely.
dogs. Yeah,
Symptoms mean the body is struggling in some way, and you don't help your body if it's struggling by adding to its burden. You
right.
remove its burden, and the way you do that is you fast a dog, you fast yourself, you eat lightly, you feed your dog lightly, you don't give drugs. Drugs don't ease the burden. Drugs suppress the symptom. That's
Yeah.
all they do. They add to the burden and they suppress the symptom.
Sadly, so many people are more comfortable giving or injecting a toxin than they are fasting, even for 24 hours. Their
I know,
pet.
and yes, exactly. We don't consider the former, injecting toxins into an animal, abuse.
Right.
But there are people out in the
Yeah.
world, and it's fewer and fewer every day, fortunately, who
Mm-hmm.
will see not feeding a dog for a day or several days as abuse. And
Yeah.
that's not